or you're joining. We still waiting for some participant because maybe they still try to join this Zoom. Usually in your office, when start your office usually start? In Indonesia, usually in 8 o'clock p.m.
Yes, we usually begin at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And that
Oh,
8 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the morning and 1 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the afternoon.
oh, okay,
M, 1 p.m.
okay,
to
okay,
5 p.m. in the afternoon.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
think it's similar
In
with you.
Indonesia usually start at 8 o'clock and then finish till 3 o'clock p.m.
Oh, only 3 o'clock. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
We
because
extend until
some
5 p.m. in the afternoon.
yeah, we become old in office.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Kita menjadi tua di kantor.
Betul, betul. Yeah,
Yeah,
the hours you spend in office is very long, so it makes us quite bored.
yeah, yeah. How about your student? Can they speak bahasa?
I will ask them. I think they have an idea. They can understand, but they have bahasa subject. It is
Okay,
one of their
okay,
electives, so they are know a little bit of bahasa.
okay, no problem. Because it is
So
very important to make together, a meeting point between our tradition, Muslim Mindanao tradition and Muslim Indonesian tradition. Bahasa is one of the important element to yeah to unify between us.
that's very true, Pa Alice,
Yeah, yeah,
because last
yeah.
week when I was in Malaysia, the people from Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore
Mm,
understand each other using Bahasa Indonesia.
okay. Yeah, maybe next time I want to take my topic research connect with the using Malay in around the Muslim in Southeast Asia, particularly moving from in Mindanao. What kind of term or what kind of term or my terminology or words that they always use among the Muslim family?
Yeah, we- inshallah, we can also collaborate with them. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
is the president of Indonesia with us today? I can see Widodo here.
Widodo. You know Widodo, the name of Widodo in Indonesia, many people their name is Widodo. Their name is Widodo. Widodo mean is Widodo mean is peaceful. Oh, Widodo, peaceful, yes, peaceful. Peaceful. There is the Widodo is common name among Javanese people particularly. Like Kartini.
Right. So anytime we can start now because I think our students, Docas, Ustaz Haidit, and me are already here. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay. Ustadz, okay, thank you. Oke. Sudah, Mas? Boleh dimulai? Eh? Oke. Uh, okay, we still waiting for the moderator and the single moderator from the beginning to the end. Okay, please, Mas siapa? Mas Hana. Assalamualaikum, Pak Siva.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah.
Oke.
Okay, thank you very much. We have today we have uh four yes 66 five presenters from lectures because just know Kartini each one presenters from Philippines and his
Oke.
name is Ustad. Her name is Ustad. Pardon? Ustad Haidit.
Ustad Haidit Astarani.
Okay, okay. No problem. Because we can share one each others. Sudah, Mas? Oke.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, for today webinar, the session will begin shortly. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello. Okay. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, khatamul anbiya wal mursalin, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. First, thank to Allah the Almighty who has been giving us mercy and blessing so we can attend this student international conference on current Islamic issues in Southeast Asia. And then salawat and salam be with our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who has brought us from the darkness to the lightness. And then I am Hanan Waskita, your host today. I also would like to greet the head of Master Program in Islamic Religious Studies at Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Bapak Nawari Ismail MAK. And then the speakers for today's session, Bapak Dr. Aris Fauzan MAK, Bapak Muhammad Syifa Amin Widodo PhD from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, and then Dr. Kartini Raja Bulan Tahir, Dr. Kasmil Abdul Wahid, and Ustadz Haidit Astarani from the College of Islamic and Arabic Studies, Mindanao State University, Tawi-Tawi College of Technology and Oceanography. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference is held in collaboration with the College of Islamic and Arabic Studies, Mindanao State University, Tawi-Tawi College of Technology and Oceanography. The main topic of today's workshop is the current Islamic issues in Southeast Asia. So for the next about 3 hours together, we will discuss a global dialogue centered around the multifaceted challenge and opportunities within the realm of Islamic affairs across Southeast Asia. And then today's conference will be divided into 2 sessions, which featuring 4 speakers from UMY, 5 speakers from UMY and Mindanao State University Tawi-Tawi College and of Technology and Oceanography. And the second session will feature students from both university. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me first to read the agenda for today. The first agenda is opening. Let's begin our agenda by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And then the second is we directly into our main session, which is the speech session. And we have 5 speakers today in the first session of the speech. The first speech will be delivered by Dr. Aris Fauzan, MAK, and then Dr. Kartini Raja Bulan Tahir. And then the third speaker will be Dr. Kasmil Abdul Wahid. And then the fourth speaker will be Bapak Muhammad Syifa Amin Widikdo, PhD. And the last speaker will be Ustadz Haidit Astarani. And then the fourth agenda is the presentation from student of OMY. And then before we start our meeting, before we start our speech, I would like to review our rule that the first the five speakers will present material about 15 minutes. So following that, we will have a question and answer question for about 30 minutes. And then the student will continue giving presentation for each 15 minutes also. And then for the other participants, please rename your account on Zoom with the format of name, country, and university. Like you can see my name, so we can know each other from which country and from which university. And please use formal and proper dress in front of the camera. And then please to all participants to turn on the camera. And then the discussion session, all the participants must use raise hand before asking question. And then after closing ceremony, all participants must fill the attendance form for certificate purposes. And then let's directly without further ado, we call the first speaker, Dr. Aris Fauzan MAK. Are you fine, sir? How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, bikhair. Thank you very much. Very good.
Alhamdulillah. Dr. Aris Fauzan is the lecturer of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. So to Dr. Aris Fauzan MAG, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable speakers and presenters, students, and all participants in this international conference. Firstly, I want to thanks to Allah, because for today, until today, we are okay, and we don't find anything, and we can meet one each other's offenders by Zoom. And the second one, let's give salat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because he always guide us from the dark and to the light, to the darkness from the light, from the dark to the lightness. My brothers and sisters, in the special presentation, I want to talk about halal issues in the Southeast Asian countries. Actually, this why I take these issues, because you know, in Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, we have more almost than 87% population of people in Indonesia is believe in Islam. This is very important. But as far as we got the issues among the society, particularly in facing Ramadan, we always find that there are many myths or talks tersebar uh, you know exist, or and there is exist in among in the some traditional market, and some people say that this meat or pork always mixed with the meat of cow or beef, and it's very dangerous for a Muslim. Okay, I want to show my PowerPoint. Uh, may I use become may I become co-host my Pak Hanan? Okay. Okay, this is my PowerPoint, the simple PowerPoint. Maybe I want to finish about 10 minutes. I think enough. Okay. Uh, this is my first halal issues in the Southeast Asia countries. Okay. In September, based on the and till end September 20 and 21, the Muslim population in Asian countries is what you can see. Indonesia, and about 18 and 88% population, Muslim population, and Malay, uh, 61 till 62%. And Brunei also almost Muslim, maybe almost 100. That's right. And Singapore, and and Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines. Even though some people say that this very so small, but Muslim in Mindanao is focused on Muslim in Philippines focus on Mindanao Island and Vietnam and also. But my brother and sister, uh, based on this population, of course, actually we have some case, particularly in Southeast Asian countries. In Malaysia, we have many foods, right? Islamic heritage, accommodation, in, uh, in Indonesia also halal food, and Singapore also halal food, and Thailand also. There is some keys, and we have similar. And as far as I know, also that Muslim in Southeast Asia, they always travel from one country to other country. Because why we always apa ya arrive or visit one country to other country, because maybe one of the factor is we have similar religions, we have similar religion, and like what we got from our prophet, that al muslimu akul muslim, that we are brother. And from this point, of course, we have similar ideas, similar values, similar vision, similar mission, of course. And then, but my brother and sister, uh, in Indonesia, in phenomena particularly, just now I mentioned in the first my PowerPoint, uh, there is demand for beef is very high during the fasting month and Ramadan months. Before the fasting month, very information often spread related to the presence of beef mixed with the white pork meat. We call it in Bahasa Indonesia is celeng. Celeng is the name of babi, or maybe the name of pig, swine. We can trace this information from this newspaper in Bahasa Indonesia, from Tribun or Medan Tribun. And based on this issue, of course, we have to be aware. As far as we got from the Islamic teaching, maybe Mas Ikal, can you stop your Mas Ikal? Halo Mas Ikal. Halo Mas Ikal. Please stop. Halo Mas Ikal. Can you stop your microphone first? Okay. Based on this based on the phenomena, brother and sister, actually, in Southeast Asia, there are many institutions that focus on for study halal or halal center study. In Malaysia, for example, we know that there is INHART. INHART is International Institution for Halal Research and Training. Few months ago, I went to this institution when we discussed everything connected with the how to deal with the phenomenon halal issues in Southeast Asia. The second one is Halal Science Center in Chulalongkorn. In 2018, I always went to this institution, and uh, the leader of this institution always explain connected the important rule, Chulalongkorn University connected with the Halal Science Center. Why they build the institution? Because my brother and sister, even those in Thailand, the population of Muslim is very very small, but they very careful to serve food and drink among the Muslim people. And even bahkan in this Chulalongkorn, based on this institution, there are many visitors, very many tourists from Middle East come to Chulalongkorn. Of course, uh, this Science Center in Chulalongkorn has a give benefit to the government of Thailand. And then the Research Center, Prince Songlah University. Also, I come to this university in 2018. But at the time we didn't find anyone because we just sit to this. We have to visit this institution but we don't discuss more than because we do not discuss more about halal food, but we find that uh, this institution just exists until now. But in Indonesia, Indonesia Council have also uh, always deal halal issues. MOI plays significant role in issuing halal certification in Indonesia and involved in the research and education related to the halal standard. But till 2020, 2020, uh, this authority in issuing halal certification is grabbed by our government. I don't know why, but and then the symbol is always changing. And then the next one is Halal Research Council in Pakistan. I never come to this institution, and Islamic Dawah Council of the Filipinas. This is of course, as far as I know, that this institution involved in halal certification in the Filipinas and may provide information and resource related to the halal service. And the next one is Halal Accreditation Council in Sri Lanka. And my brother and sister, actually in Southeast Asia, there are many institutions focus and deal with the halal issues. But if we refer to Indonesian case, particularly just now particularly in the facing before Ramadan, this phenomena for me is very dangerous. And we got also that connected this one is in Indonesia there are many issues connected to the culinary and culinary tourism, culinary tourism. As far as I know that culinary tourism for Indonesian people, usually they don't care where the food, where it's come from, where the essence of this food. And the important some of them is the some of them think that as far as this food is very delicious, they always eat it. They don't care with its with where the food is come from. For me, as a Muslim, this is the bad phenomenon. And how about awareness of young Muslim millennial today? This is my concern in this event. And last night I also prepared. There is a table. There is one article written by uh, someone, and the complete article I have it, and then I just quote the extent of awareness on halal food among Muslim student consumers of our university and certain Mindanao. If we refer to this, if we refer to this question, for example, or for this statement, mostly overall means the equation is aware. It's not full aware. This is in Filipina Mindanao. I don't know. It's like maybe some of speakers from Philippines, they give more information connected to that. But in Indonesia, as far as I know, Indonesia has many islands, and you know, in Bali, when I went to Bali, to get the halal food is not easy. It is kind of when I want to go to when I went to in Thailand. Yeah, but maybe if you go to Yogyakarta or in Jakarta, maybe you get easy halal food. But And behind the easiness, usually I always curiga itu apa? Uh, pardon? Iya, apa curiga jangan because you know some places in Indonesia particularly in Solo there are openly there is a street restaurant. I mean the street restaurant, I don't know exactly how to make it. Street restaurant, they provide, you know, dog meat dog meat, and they make camouflage of the this street restaurant in the name of sate jamu. I don't know exactly sate jamu. Sate, if we refer to sate, refer is mean is you know, sate mean is everything connected with the goat. Sate is Arabic word, mean is goat. Yeah, but in 2019 we also get the bad information from the, you know, Padang, West Sumatra, babi ambo, Padang babi ambo. You know, if we go to the Indonesian tradition, when we go to Padang, Padang is Muslim, mostly the population of Padang is Muslim society. Even they have a high tradition. This tradition is built uh, the basic of the tradition is Sara, and they say, and they based on the tradition is adat basandi Sara, Sara basandi kitabullah. The culture based on Islamic law, and Islamic law based on uh, uh, Quran. Okay, thank you very much, my brother and sister. This is my simple presentation connected. What the next? What we will do? Connect with our millennial youngers, Muslim youngers for today, because some of them they don't care with the halal food. They always think that the important is very delicious. They always go to eat it. Okay, thank you very much, my brother and sister. This is my simple presentation, and time I return back to moderator. I stop it.
Yeah, thank you for Dr. Aris Fauzan MAK for the presentation. It is very impactful and excellent presentation, and giving a lot of information about halal food in Southeast Asia. And then we go on to the second speaker from Philippines, Dr. Kartini Raja Bulan Tahir. Dr. Kartini.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you fine? Are you going well, Dr. Kartini?
Alhamdulillah, we're doing good.
Alhamdulillah.
I think
Yeah.
most of the presenters from MSUTCTO are here with in the same office. So
Oh,
inshallah,
that's good. That's good.
we are
Yeah.
very excited to share our research papers today.
Yeah, for
Okay,
Dr.
shall I?
Kartini Raja Bulan Tahir, the time is yours.
Can you see my slide?
Yeah, we can.
So this paper is actually part of my dissertation during my stay as a student at UMye, because I focus on the child development in an Islamic perspective. So for a little bit of background, since my S2, I started studying about child development. So it's been like almost 20 years I study about this topic. So one of the very unique experience I have in Indonesia is to understand this aspect from a spiritual, in terms of spirituality. So when as an educator, most of our basis in crafting curriculum, in crafting education program for our children is basically based on the Western or general theories. But based on my observation as a Muslim educator, we lack references in terms of child development when it comes to Islamic perspective. That's why I decided to focus on this study. So as a student of education, we have learned a lot about psychosexual development, psychosocial, social learning. But there is no very specific theory when it comes to Islamic child development theories. So hopefully this research will shed light on that topic. So what is the very unique thing about Islamic psychology? It emphasizes on the importance of soul or the spirituality because or the iman, because our iman or soul influence our behavior. It shows in our actions, in our speeches, and other behavior. So that's why it is very important to understand the state of spirituality of a person to understand them. So the statement of the problem in my paper is to find out the general descriptions of child development from Islamic perspective. And second, I'd like to find out what are the descriptions of child development in an Islamic perspective in terms of physical development, intellectual development, socio-emotional development, and moral development. So this is a very general study. So what I did in my study is I did a library research. I used textual analysis and thematic analysis. But it is limited because I'm not an Arabic speaker. I use the English translation of Al-Quran by Abdullah Ali Yusuf and Shahi Bukhari for the Hadith. Because these two documents are the main source of our Islamic references. So in my study, I collected the verses or the hadiths referring to child development, and I grouped them according to different aspects of development like physical, intellectual, socio-emotional, and spiritual. So based on my findings, the child development from Islamic perspective, um, it's not predictable by age like in the Western theory. The children could achieve their maximum development as long as the environment support them. Like for example, in terms of intellectual capacity, they can understand abstract ideas like a concept of God, as long as the adult around them explain it to the children very well. And all the developmental aspect depends on the experience of an individual child. Their quality of experience depends. And then, in Islamic perspective, the Balik stage marks the end of childhood, which is when the person is required to do their obligation as a Muslim. So that's the end of the childhood, the Balik. And in terms of physical development, it is very interesting that the Quran emphasizes the importance of physical development even at the womb of a mother. Because that's why the Quran emphasizes also that when a pregnant when a woman is pregnant, she should be treated very kindly and cared for because children are very vulnerable even inside the womb of a mother. So children, especially from 0 to 2, are very vulnerable and highly dependent on adults for nourishment and care. And this is in confirmation to the study of UNICEF. They find out that the first 2 years of children are very vulnerable and very formative. That's why we need to give the care for the children. Because when they don't have a very good experience during this time, during those years, it might not be have a good effect when they grow up. So next is in terms of intellectual cognitive development. Based on the Quran and Sunnah, children are teachable and they have a very absorbent mind and great imitators. That's why in Islam, we have to model the good behavior to young children because they imitate us. And in terms of social-emotional aspect, this aspect is highly dependent on the adults around them. So if we are kind to them, there's a high tendency that children will also learn kindness from us. But if we don't show a positive emotion to children, it has negative effect on them. So in terms of moral development, what is also interesting about this study, theories from the Western world, they said that children might have hard time to understand what is right and wrong in terms of morality. But in Islam, we are obliged to teach our children what is right and wrong, and that is an indication telling us that children can learn what is right and wrong and part of their moral development. So we have sets of beautiful verses in the Surah Luqman about what are the values we should teach our children. And that is, I think, should be learned by the parents, should be practiced by the parents. So in terms of overall development, children are very dependent on adults to achieve their optimal development. And all children are born in the state of pitra. When we say pitra, it is the purity. It is not like tabula rasa in Western theory. Tabula rasa, they say it's a blank slate. But in Islam, it's pitra. Pitra means the child has a natural inclination towards tawhid and righteousness. Naturally, they learn about tawhid and naturally they are good. So they are not like blank slate. So for the recommendation based on this research, this can be considered uh, as a reference in designing programs and intervention for Muslim children. And if you are also interested, some of the students or my colleagues here, we can also look deeper into other aspect of development in Islamic perspective. Because my research was just focused on the normal development. But what about those children with special needs? What is the Islamic perspective on that? But also it might be interesting to understand there might be cultural differences in understanding child development. And also I encourage other researchers to investigate other Quran translation and commentaries about child development because mine is only limited to what I have used like Yusuf Ali and Shahibah Bukhari. So the future direction of my study is to use the indicators and communicate these findings to the parents so that they are aware how to rear their children. So this is our one way of communicating the results to the community so that the parents can have better options how to deal with their children. So that's all for me for today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for Dr. Kartini for giving such informative and comprehensive presentation about education for the children. And then we will save the question for later. We will have a separate question and answer session after all the presentation is over. So for the participant who already have a question, please write it down by yourself and we will have the session later. And then for the third presentation will be delivered by Dr. Kasmil S. Abdul Wahid from Mindanao State University. To Dr. Kasmil, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Nama saya Kasmil Abdul Wahid. I will be delivering my part of my research entitled Unveiling Linguistic, Emotional, and Spiritual Intelligence. But first of all, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Mari kita panjatkan syukur dan puji kepada Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala karena bisa bertemu di platform online yang mulia ini. So, naam, saya mulakan. Okay, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can.
Iya, belajar. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, educational institution in every part of the world tries to achieve holistic performance by their students. Okay. The government, school administration, teachers, parents, and even students themselves are aiming to have best performance, superior skills, and quality students. So every time they reach every ladder of their educational pursuit. The main focus of my study was to determine the degree of difference of these high school students, both in Indonesia and the Philippines, in terms of their linguistic performance, emotional, and spiritual intelligence. So, what is linguistic performance? According to Chomsky, it is the actual use of language in a concrete situation. It refers to the application and use of rule of language for speech, writing, and comprehension, according to Abdul Wahid. Intelligence in Arabic is translated as akal, and in Encyclopedia of Islam, akal is the first, sometimes the second entity which emanates from the divinity as the first cause or proceeds from it by means of intellectual creation, nafs and tabi'ah, etc., coming after akal in succession. In the Encyclopedia Britannica in 1921 symposium, two American psychologists differs in their meaning of intelligence. So according to Thurman, he says that it is the ability to think abstractly, while Thorndike emphasizes that it is the ability to give good response to question. While Sternberg defines intelligence as comprising the mental abilities necessary for adaptation or survival, as well as selection and shaping of any environmental context in relation to one's perspective. Okay. So now let's go to emotional intelligence. This is the ability to perceive emotion in self and others, and to understand, regulate, and use such information in productive ways. The subset of social intelligence that involves the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them, and to use this information to guide one's thinking and action. And for Goldman, it is managing feelings so that they are expressed appropriately and effectively, enabling people to work together smoothly toward their common goals. So emotional intelligence is mostly the work, or it is really concern of the heart. And this, the USMEQI, this was the questionnaire were used in this study, and they enumerated the 7 dimensions of emotional intelligence. One is emotional control. This refers to ability to self-control from disruptive emotion and impulsive feelings. Next is emotional maturity. This ability to facilitate and guide emotional tendencies to achieve and reach intended goals. Emotional consciousness, ability to take responsibility and maintain integrity for personal performance. While emotional awareness is referred to ability of knowing and understanding one's own and other person's internal state, preferences, resources, and institution as well as their effects. So teachers teaching, especially in the elementary grade, should have this powerful or strong or superior emotional awareness, so much so they can understand their students, they can address to the problems that the students are facing, especially on their emotional part. Next is the emotional commitment. It's referred to the ability to align and working with others in a group or organization towards common goals. Huh? So, uh, some suggested here that I have to uh, fast track my presentation. Okay, I will just read emotional fortitude, emotional expression, and the spiritual intelligence. So, uh, as the adaptive use of spiritual information to facilitate every problem and solving and goal attainment. So mostly spiritual intelligence, this is concerned with our spirit or soul. Okay, so I use this spiritual intelligence questionnaire by King and Decheco. They have four dimension, and these are critical existential thinking, personal meaning production, transcendental awareness, conscious state expansion. So let's go to my finding. Okay, so we cannot deny the fact that in Philippines and Indonesia there are problems with our students, according to how, okay, as mentioned by Holt et al. And there are also findings, there are also studies in the Philippines that mm, we have this low performance, we have this um, lacking of textbooks, we have the crowded classes as teacher shortages, and in one study conducted as to the performance of the high school students, they failed to meet the standard, okay, the Philippine standard for high school students. So that's why uh, we will going to find ways and means to analyze or to determine what can we help, what really affects this performance of the students. Okay, so I was thinking that emotional, and based on my research, that emotional and spiritual intelligence have to do have the effect on the linguistic performance of the students. So here's my findings. So it reveals that uh, student who has not religious parents are significantly different to religious parents. So when I analyzed the data, I found out that it seems that religious parents are limiting their children to to connect or to view, let's say to view, to read, or to access uh, limited readings, limited television, limited radio programs, and so on and so forth. Not like with these not religious parents, it seems that they are giving freedom to their children. That's why their children were able to make this good experience, make this good performance in the in their linguistic performance. That's why it's okay to limit our to limit our children to resources which is according to Islam. But uh, let's see to it that they're still having this good experience. Okay, they have this quality time with the language so much so they can cope up with these children who are excelling in their linguistic performance. So next is involvement of the students in the social group. So this, I found out that those students who have this heavily access to social media significantly different from those who are not involved or who are not or somewhat not involved. Okay, so maybe this is because of their increased exposure, practice, and reputation. Because in social media, you're going to write simple sentences first, and then complex sentences until complex or superior paragraphs. So it make improve. It help their linguistic performance. Okay. Okay. So let's go to madrasa experience. So I found out that madrasa experience, students with madrasa experience excel or significantly different from those who have no madrasa experience. In Indonesia, I think your madrasa is the so-called pesantren, right? While here in the Philippines, we have the Saturday and Sunday madrasa experience. Okay, we have Saturday and Sunday madrasa classes. So we thought that uh, giving burden to students by uh, aside from their school days from Mondays to Saturdays, Mondays to Fridays, and then we're introducing them, we are sending them to madrasa. We thought that they might be what's that? What do you call that? They might be overburdened. We thought that uh, they cannot get the knowledge from madrasa, or maybe they can get only little knowledge since they are, let's say, exhausted. But surprisingly, in my studies, I found out that these students with madrasa experience excel more, significantly differ from those students without a madrasa experience. This is because in madrasa, it will motivate them more. It make them gain another experience, another level of experience. Okay, because of this experience, because of this motivation, they were able, to maintain or to sustain their momentum in in their in the learning, in the learning of, let's say, of the in the linguistic, in the language, in the language. So that's for madrasa experience. Okay, so let's now go to emotional intelligence. So I found out in my study that students' family income, those with low family income is significantly different from those high and moderate income. So this is because the students who are less fortunate, they were able to experience, basing from their parents, basing from their what happened in their at home, they were able to mature, okay, to mature so much so when they are in their classroom, they can they have that quality, they have that character within, uh, because of the experiences, because of the you know problems inside the house, they were able to be mature enough in order to to face some problems, some issues and challenges in their classroom. So that's why students with low income family seems to have highly emotional intelligence, than their counterpart who are from those highly income family. Okay, so let's go back to madrasa experience. So I found out that madrasa experience, students with madrasa experience excel or significantly differ from those who do not have madrasa experience. This is because of in madrasa we are teach about the good values, Islamic values. We thought about the challenges faced by Anbiya and so on and so forth. So they were able, okay, to get learnings. They were able to mature, okay, emotionally mature. So much so they really differ from those students who do not have madrasa experience. Okay. So and lastly is on the spiritual intelligence aspect, we found out that access to social media, those who are heavily involved to social media is significantly different from those who are not involved or somewhat involved in the social media. So this means that two students can perceive transcendence. Okay. Uh, okay. Those uh, who are always accessing social media in the first place, they are not there because of enjoyment. They are there because they know that there is interconnectedness, okay, of one person to another person. So as what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, uh, man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir, hmm, fal yukrim dayfahu or yung la yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi. So we have to establish our vertical link to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well as our horizontal link to our fellow human being. So that's why people who are accessing social media i- is somewhat significant or somewhat higher than those who are not uh, accessing social media. I think that's my part. So thank you for listening. Alhamdulillah. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Kasmil, for the presentation. It was very, very excellent and informative. And then for the next speech will be delivered by uh, Bapak Shifa Widikdo, PhD from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Dr. Shifa, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Shifa. I hope all is well. The time is yours.
Ya Allah, thank you very much, Mas Hanan and all other attendees and attendants in this panel session. I learned a lot from Pak Aris, Ms. Kartini, and Pak Kasmin, right? And Alhamdulillah, this morning I was given the opportunity to share with you all. This is not that. Can you hear my voice? Hopefully there is no problem.
Very clear, but it is better if keep it louder.
Okay. I will share my screen with you all on. It's not I mentioned earlier.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a kind of reflective and reflection on the current state of Islamic movement in Indonesia and also Southeast Asia in general. So a general review, general overview, my reflection on Islamic movement, about the problems, the challenges that they are facing, and the prospects, how we can maximize potentials of Islamic movement in Southeast Asia. First of all, in general, usually this is the term Islamic movement is associated with what so-called as radical groups. The groups that is based on Islamic community, Islamic society that struggle or strive to have independence, for example, in Moro, MNLF, or in Indonesia. For example, we have a lot of Islamic movements, state Islamic State movement, for example. Those kind of issues is usually associated or referred to as Islamic movement. But movement itself actually is not always refers to such radical or political movement. There are other forms of movement as well. Since the term movements in academic or in academic context usually refers to what's so-called as tajdeed or renewal of thought and reform of society reform, social reform, for example, and Islamic organizations in general. For example, in Indonesia, we have what's so-called Nahdlatul Ulama, Muhammadiyah, Persatuan Islam, Hidayatullah, or even Islamic higher education institutions such as Muhammadiyah University, Muhammadiyah schools, NU University, NU schools, those kind of things. I will refer to them as Islamic movement as well. But we are all Muslim society in the world, and especially in Southeast Asia, is facing what's so-called as modernity. In face of modernity, conveys or comes with it certain values like individual freedom, equal rights, human rights, the idea of progress, technological advancement, scientific inquiry and method, those kind of things. But Islamic movement, first forms of Islamic movement, which is called the Muslim liberals, for example, we have it in Indonesia as well, what's called Islam liberal or liberal Islam. Those modernity values usually are adopted without criticism. So it develops the freedom, women rights, or human rights in general, the idea of progress, those kind of things is adopted by these Muslim individual Muslim liberals without a certain critical mind. For example, they are, let's say, adopting democracy, adopting, for example, people are, for example, in today's discourse, for example, when we talk about LGBTQ rights, they tend to agree to give the LGBTQ community certain rights to have their own, for example, aspirations to be adopted by society. For example, in terms of marriage, in terms of public appearance, those kind of things. So they tend to adopt modernity without critical mind. And the other one is Islamic movements that is categorized as what's so-called Islamist. They are rejecting the values or the values, the forms of modernity, and offering Islam as a solution. Al-Islam wal hal or wal hal as a solution. Sometimes with persuasion, using media, using scholarship, books, but not only that, sometimes some of them also use violence to show that Islam is the solution for the modernity, like Islamic State in Iraq and in Syria, or Islamic State in Indonesia, Jamaah Islamiyah, for example, in Southeast Asia in general. They find modernity is Western product, need to be rejected. Islam has its own values of modernity. Those kind of jargon usually used by these movements. And the third one is Muslim modernists, Muslim traditionalists that are not belong to the liberals or Islamists. Yes, there are certain forms of modernity that need to be adopted. For example, here freedom, Islam has also respect certain levels of freedom, for example. But there are some negative aspects as well from modernity. For example, the liberal values and morality, for example, same-sex marriage, for example. Those kind of things need to be rejected or need to be eliminated from the Islamic perspective. So this the challenges is certain, which is modernity, but the responses of Muslim community somewhat different, right? And what is the problem with that? With that? Okay, I mean, I will just quote the value, what the third category of Islamic group or Islamic movement. They tend to see the relationship between Islam and the West, or Islam and Europe and US and etc., is actually not only mutual conquest in terms of jihad, a crusade, or political conquer or colonialism, but also cultural encounters as well. Each one of them, the West and the East or Islam, can learn each other. There are some inter influence among them, interconnections, interactions, that there are some cultural borrowings from both sides. So actually, a dialogue is the main spirit between the West and Islam. But now, with the challenge of modernity, we have some problems. We have some problems. For example, in Indonesian Islamic movement, yes, we have like organizations, movements like NU, Muhammadiyah, Persis, and other, or even in terms of Islamic higher learning institutions like Muhammadiyah University, Islamic University, for Indonesian Islamic University, for example, Yogyakarta. They have very important role in national development, in national sphere. But in the global level, we have lack of contribution, lack of networking, lack of influence as other compared to other Muslim organizations or Muslim higher learning institutions abroad. So that's the first problem. And the other problems is that this is what the first Indonesian Islamic movement I categorize as the modernist and the traditionalist movement. But the other movement, Indonesian Islamic movement, yes, they have connection, but only as a proxy. They play a role as a proxy, a branch of international ideology of movement in national level. For example, HTI, Hizbut Tahrir Indonesia, Salafi movement, liberal Islam. They only try to translate global ideological movement into Indonesian context. So that's another problem. Yes, they have international networks, they have international influence probably, but they only use Indonesia or Southeast Asia in general as the application or the implementation of global ideology. So as I mentioned earlier, yeah, Islam is considered. That's why the result for that, for the first problem, because of the lack network contribution influence in global context, Islam in Indonesia and in Southeast Asia in general considered as peripheral and inferior compared to the center of the core of Islamic movement in the Middle East, for example. So whatever we do, nobody notice, nobody pay attention to our movement, to our roles, to our contributions, because we don't talk to them, we don't interact with them, we don't contribute something to the global conversation. That is the first problem. And then second problem, as I mentioned earlier, the Muslim liberals, they see the future of Indonesia, the future of Southeast Asia in general is that just adopt the Western values, adopt Western cultures, with adopt Western outlook to be implemented in Indonesian also Southeast Asian context if Islamic movement in Indonesia and Southeast Asia in general want to be progress, want to advance themselves. So the future is the West, whereas the Islamist movement, like I mentioned earlier, the Hizb ut-Tahrir, the Salafi movement, the future is the past. It means that if we want to excel our civilization, we need to adopt the pious generations, the Salafus Saleh generations, and copy paste their society, their behavior, and put it in the modern context. So the future is referring to the past, to the Salafus Saleh, to the pious generations, our forefathers and mothers, of course, to be implemented, to be copy paste, and then implemented in the current context. That's the future. So we are, according to the liberals and Islamists, Basam TB, one of the Islamic scholars, mentioned our problems is only spillover from the problems of Middle East, because we are, for example, adopting the, for example, the Islamists to implement Khilafah, for example, in the current context, or to implement the Western outlook and worldview, for example. It's only the spillover of the Middle East, all the West, which is deemed as the core or the center of civilization. Center of Islam is Middle East, center of progress and modernity is the West. We are only the peripheral, yeah, for that. Okay, and then how to deal with that? How to solve those problems? The ideological, epistemological problems, and also the contribution and networking and influence in the global. Damascus, Cordoba, Cairo, Samarkand, in the past of Islam. They are also not centers of Islam at that time. In the 7th century, 8th century, they are also peripheries of Islam. The center is Hijaz, Makkah, and Medina. But look what Baghdad did, or the Kufah did, and the Damascus did, Cordoba did, Cairo did, Samarkand did. They built their own credentials, for example, in scholarship and research. In Baghdad, a lot of scholars, even the fuqaha and the mutakallimun and the scientists, the ulama in both religious and scientific sciences. They grow in Cairo. Ibn Haytham, in Baghdad, a lot of them, in Damascus, Cordoba, in those parts of the world. They used to be considered as peripheral, inferior to the Hijaz, but now, because they have built their own credential in Islamic scholarship, they excelled and become another center of Islam at the time. Political stability, economic growth is also another key foundation for the building credentials of and integrity in building Islamic civilization. Stability of Umayyad period, for example, Madinah, Khulafa al-Rashidun, the Abbasid period as well, and also credential in social dynamics. The importance of civil society organizations, Islamic civil society organizations like Muhammadiyah, NU. For example, during the Abbasid period, there is what's called the Dhamiyah colleges that growing during that time become very foundational aspects of building an advanced Islamic civilization. And another one is credential in scientific and technological advancement, higher learning institutions, research centers, centers of excellence, to build to advance science and knowledge. Those kind of things can be also a basic important foundation to build Islamic civilization. So in the context of Southeast Asia, we need to collaborate. We need to to synergize our movement, our activities, so that if we have those four credentials, four foundations for the advancing our Islamic civilization, Islam in Southeast Asia, Islam in Indonesia particularly, is not considered as periphery anymore. It become another center of civilization as well. So collaborative scholarship network among Islamic higher education learning institutions and centers of excellences like this, what we are doing right now is actually very important and foundational step toward advancing Islamic civilization in Southeast Asia. Of course, political stability and economic development, which is not our main role because it's another aspect. Moderate and peaceful Islam, that's also very foundational. Through the understanding of moderate and peaceful Islam, we will respect more to the minority rights, which is in parallel or in accordance to the modernity values as well, human rights, women rights, freedom, pluralism, because we are accustomed to have different faiths, different cultures, different ethnicities that we are respecting, especially in Indonesia, and same thing I think in the Philippines. And who knows, in the near future, if we strengthen our collaboration, our synergy, we can also advance in the scientific and technological development as well. And that's all what I can share with all of you, and hopefully this kind of collaboration synergy can be strengthened, can be fruitful in the near future, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, thank you very much for Mr. Shiva for the presentation. It was very informative and give us very comprehensive thought outlook about Southeast Asian Islamic movement. And then we move into the last speaker for the first session of the speech. So to the last speaker, Ustadz Haidit. Yeah, Ustadz Haidit, are you going well? Can you hear me, Mr. Haidit?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Without
Can
further
you-
ado, the time is yours.
Can you see me in my presentation?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Salatu salamu ala Rasulil Karim Nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. First of all, I'm very glad to present my research output entitled The Impact of Halakatul Ilm on the Female Muslim Learners in Ungao, Tawi-Tawi. So I'm Assistant Professor Haidit S. Tarani, Juris Doctor, and also Sharia Counselor, the College of Islamic and Arabic Studies faculty members, and also Islamic Studies Department chairperson. I have to present first the background of our research study. It is grounded on the Islamic slogan, Islam promotes peace and respect human rights of individuals. And Islamic teaching as the paradigm of personal transformation for security, tranquility, justice, contentment, strength, and progress in their lives and society. Practically, our main respondents are the female learners of this uh, Halakatul Ilm or special group of Islamic knowledge students, which is the extension program of our college, because uh, women are the upbringers and developers of children towards sound spirituality, morality, and humanity by Ahmad 2018 in his research finding. Because we are mandated by Islam to establish the developed, productive, and peaceful society which is considered as the fruit of the responsible parenthood. The College of Islamic and Arabic Studies, a 9-month program of Halakatul Ilm, which is the special group study of Islamic knowledge, is aimed to increase awareness of the Muslim women on Islamic studies in Arabic language, especially to nurture the participants to accept and adopt the sound Islamic faith, or Aqidah, and promote human fellowship for peaceful coexistence. Because in our locality, we have multi-ethnic and multi-faith residents uh, composed of many tribes, though they are Muslims, but they have different language and cultures. And so with the other faiths like Christians, Chinese, Buddhists, and also other faiths. The statements of the problem, uh, we are going to find out the significance and benefits of the Halakatul Ilm program and what are its impact on the moral and spiritual life of the learners. Does it transform the learners toward better family and social life? Does it enhance the economic life of the learners with positive effect? Does it encourage the learners with interest for continuing both Islamic and secular education in their educational life? So in our research methodology, we have descriptive, inferential, and quantitative approach because it quantifies the impact of the Halakatul Ilm for a total of 80 female Muslim learners in the community. And they were divided into two groups on the basis of purposive total sampling of all learners. So meaning there are two levels of learners who are all adult female learners, the respondents. The level one with a background of low degree of Islamic knowledge, while the level two, they have advanced background in Islamic knowledge. This research conducted at Tubigbo, Bungao, Tawi-Tawi. Tubigbo is a small community of Muslims, and Bungao is the Pandar of our province, which is a part of the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao. And we had utilized this research instrument using research-made checklist solved questionnaire consisting of 26 perception statements to be validated by the respondents. And the statements were subdivided into 5 areas such as the significance and benefits of the program, what is it, moral and spiritual impact, and also the social and family impact on the learners, the economic impact, and also the moral aspect of the program. And the question was subjected to Cronbach's alpha analysis for internal consistency and reliability. So meaning all 26 perception statements were subject for internal consistency and reliability. So the data gathering procedure was conducted by our department, the Islamic Studies Department of our college. And as to the statistical treatment of data, the question of alpha analysis for internal and consistency and reliability. So, as to the descriptive statistics, this section presents the mean range analysis result on each of the perceived impact of the program on the participants, ranging from the highly agreed, and so agreed, and also undecided, and disagreed, and highly disagreed. So as to the table 1 shows the mean score of the participants' respondents on the perceived impact of the halakatul ilm on the female Muslim learners for level 1, meaning those respondents with low degree of Islamic education background, specifically in Bungaw, Tawi-Tawi. The findings are summarized according to the areas of perception, statement, and interpreted as follows. The area of perception statements. First, the area 1, halakatul significance and benefits with research output, total mean 4.81, interpreted as strongly agree. So meaning the halakatul have excellent, significant, and benefits for the program beneficiaries. As to the area 2, the impact on moral and spiritual life with a total mean 4.85, 84 rather, interpreted as strongly agree. While in area 3, impact on family and social life with a total mean of 4.79 as interpreted strongly agree. In area 4, impact on economic life with a total mean 4.79 construed as strongly agree. In area 4, impact on educational life with a total mean of 4.76 construed as strongly agree. So overall mean score is 4.80 with a rating of perception strongly agree. So this is the another type of statistics which is inferential. We have used the analysis of variance, which is ANOVA, just to determine the internal consistency. And as to the results of the research output on the level 2 respondents, the table 1 shows the mean score of the participants' responses on the perceived impact of the halakatul ilm on the female Muslim learners for level 2, meaning those students with advanced Islamic knowledge, especially in Bungaw, Tawi-Tawi. The findings are summarized according to the areas of perception statements and interpreted as follows. Similar with the level 1, but there is a variance as to the results of their perception output. In area 1, halakatul ilm significance and benefits with a total mean
4.83, interpreted as strongly agree. And area 2, impact on moral and spiritual life, with total mean of 4.90, strongly agree. Area 3, impact on family and social life, 4.87, construed as strongly agree. Area 4, impact on economic life, 4.92, as strongly agree. And 5, area 5, impact on educational life, 4.98, strongly agree. With overall mean score of 4.88, interpreted as strongly agree. So this is the conclusions of our research output. This study was conducted to analyze the impact of an extension service program for the female Muslim learners. They are not regular students of our college. They are outsiders, the residents of the community who are out of school youth, especially those, most of them are professionals who are working in the government agency, but relatively very low in Islamic education background. So the results of the analysis indicated that there was a high positive and good impact of Halakatul Ilm on the lives of the learners, both in level 1 and 2. From the socio-demographic profile of the participants, varying secular educational attainment of the level 1 learners was significant variable that influenced their response on the impact of the program on them. While level 2 learners all strongly agreed on the positive and good impact of the program on their lives, their varying age, civil status, educational attainment, and nature employment categorization did not affect their response. And Halakatul Ilm program of College of Islamic and Arabic Studies served its purpose as well as a community extension service program and thus needs its reasonable continuation and sustainability to materialize its good objective. Shukran, walhamdulillah, rabbil alamin. Thank you very much for listening to my humble presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much for Ustadz Haidit Astarani for the presentation that give us a new insight and new perspective of the impact of halaqatul ilm on female Muslim. And then, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the Q&A or discussion session. For the participant who wants to ask the question for one of the speaker here, you can raise your hand. You can ask with Bahasa Indonesia or Tagalog. If you have difficulty with English, it's okay. We have a lot of translator here. We have time about 20 to 30 minutes for question and answer. Is there any question? Nothing. How to raise hand? Do you want to ask? Yeah. So Abdul Muiz from Brunei, studies in UMY.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. My name is Abdul Muiz and I'm from Brunei. I'm currently studying in UMA. I would like to ask question from the first speaker, Pak Aris. Pak Aris, that you have mentioned that issues regarding halal issues in Indonesia, for example, that you mentioned just now, that meat that are not halal is mixed with meat that are non-halal. For example, in Brunei, they have the restaurant in Brunei. They put labels on asked by the government to put a logo in front of the restaurant, whether it's halal or not. Of course, it's in Indonesia. Do they have regulations on that part in Indonesia? That is what I want to ask.
Okay. What logo halal?
Yes. For example, for the, yes, you've mentioned that some people are not aware. Oh, so I say people are not, they don't care of mentioning. Yeah, the restaurant do not care about whether to put halal or not.
Okay, thank you very much, That's why I understand your point.
Yeah, please unmute first, sir.
Okay. I got your question is why some people do not care with the halal food. Uh, uh, Maybe there are some reason why do not care. Firstly, knowledge of their religion, or maybe religious knowledge is very, in Indonesia, if you refer to the for example, we refer to the anthropologist Clifford Gertz, for example. He tried to divide into three groups. Firstly, santri, and the second one is priai. The third one is abangan. This phenomena until today we find it very easily. Santri, the identification of the santri is they always obey to at least five principles of Islam. They say shahadat, they pray salat, they do fasting Ramadan, they do also zakat, they do also haji, and this is the based on the term of Clifford Gertz use is santri. And the second one is uh, priayi. Priayi mean is the high level in the social status. In like or dislike, in Indonesia, until today, some of the culture in Indonesia influenced by Hindus case. I mean, there are many level case, kasta. The first kasta is Brahmana and Ksatria, and the third one is Sudra and Vaisya. And the last one, the Nengrat, or maybe we call it Priayi, is the highest. They still believe in values of Hinduism. Values in Hinduism. Yeah, this is the second group. The third group is Abangan. Abangan, they still believe in original or maybe indigenous tradition in Indonesia. We worship to the big tree, worship to the lake, worship to the big river, and some of them try to mix with the Islamic tradition. But of course, like Muhammadiyah do, Muhammadiyah has the unique teaching how to delete or to increase the, we call it TBC. TBC means Tahayul Bid'ah Khurafat. And Tahayul Bid'ah Khurafat growing freely, I mean growing subur ya, Pak. Yeah, growing very good growing in the third group. And then if we refer also to the book, this book is written in Javanese languages, and the written also in the alphabet languages, Japanese alphabet. And its book entitled, this book is Dharma Gandul and Gatoloco. Dharma Gandul and Gatoloco, if we read this book, it is similar kind of about 19 and 18, we find also the name satanic verses. The satanic verses written by Salman Rushdie. Gatoloco, maybe this is Gatoloco, the first published in at the beginning of 20th century. And this book tried to criticize Islam in Indonesia, and one of the statement in this book is why Muslim always forbid why Islam forbid any Muslim to eat pork, for example. Pork is very delicious meat. And why the Muslim forbid this one, this one, this one? And you know, my brother and sister, this phenomena we still find in the Muslim, the third group, Muslim Abangan. And the lack of knowledge of the lack of religious knowledge is we find it in it. But maybe after after we going to the point 4.0 era, maybe they get a lot of information. But in the last phenomena, we find also one of YouTuber from Indonesia. He is a Muslimah. When he saw in his YouTube, he say he ate pork meat, and he say basmala. You know what we mean? You can look this you can look this phenomena in the internet. But because he do in the deviation of Islam, and then some Muslim bring him to the our police. Yeah. Okay, this is the phenomena in our society. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Mr. Abdul Muiz, and for the answer from Mr. Aris Fauzan. Is there any other question from the participant? I'll wait about 10 seconds. Is it enough? Okay. If there is no other question, so we will move into the next agenda, which is the presentation from the student from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta and Mindanao State University. There are 5 speakers for today session. The first is
maybe no time for coffee break.
Coffee break? No, you can do the coffee break yourself in your place. Please do not hesitate to eat your food or drink your coffee during this session. The first speaker would be Mr. Ainuddin Toroganan, and the second speaker would be Mr. Akbar Abdul Muiz, and then the third speaker will be Miss Aisa Sajarani, and then the third speaker will be Mr. Lutfiaji Agung Hidayat, and the last will be Mr. Abdul Muiz Muhammad Soleh.
Wait, may I give I have idea. What do you think if the first session close first? Because session we didn't close yet.
So we close it first?
Yeah, the first session.
Okay.
Yeah. The first session, and then you go to the next session.
Okay, thank you, sir. So let's close our first session of the speech for the presentation from the lecture from both university by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. And then we move into the next session, which is the presentation from the student. As I mentioned before, we will have 5 speakers. And for the first speaker, Mr. Ainuddin Toroganan. Are you there? Mr. Ainuddin? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Are you good?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So without enough talk, the time is yours, Mr. Ainuddin.
Okay, wait for a while. So can you see my presentation?
It is still loading. Yeah, we can see it now.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى. والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. أما بعد, Assalamu alaikum and have a pleasant morning to everyone. So this morning, I will going to present my research which entitled Challenges Encountered and Coping Mechanisms of the Arabic Teachers of MSU TCTO Integrated Laboratory School during the COVID-19 pandemic academic year 2020-2021. Four years ago, COVID-19 pandemic had stricken the humanity, which ended up to the proclamation of the total lockdown throughout the world. Due to this, a lot of factors have been affected, and education was not an exemption. For how many years of studying in Mindanao State University of Tawi-Tawi, I witnessed how teaching and learning process shifted from face-to-face to online and distance learning, from raw and authentic instructions to alternative modalities, which made effect on the quality and effectiveness of the teaching and learning process. With this, the researcher of the present study decided to push through with this study for him and for the readers to be informed of the challenges encountered and coping mechanisms of the integrated laboratory school teachers, especially teachers handling Arabic and Islamic studies subjects. Another reason is because there is no undergraduate thesis yet, or the master dissertation have tackled this topic that focuses on the challenges faced by the Arabic teachers of Integrated Laboratory School of Mindanao State University of Tawi-Tawi. So with that, I came up with three objectives. The first objectives So the first objectives, what are the challenges encountered by the Arabic teachers of MSU TCTO Integrated Laboratory School in delivering instruction during the pandemic? The second objective, what are the coping mechanisms of the Arabic teachers on the challenges they encountered in modular distance learning? The third objectives, is there any significant difference between the challenges encountered by the primary grade Arabic teachers and the intermediate grade Arabic teachers of Integrated Laboratory School? So the methodology of this research, the research design, this study utilized the descriptive and inferential quantitative research design, which described the challenges encountered by the Arabic teachers of MSUTCTO Integrated Laboratory School in delivering instruction during the COVID-19 pandemic and their coping mechanisms after facing the, the challenges. So the research scale of this study This conducted at MSU TCTO Integrated Laboratory School at Barangay Tubig Mampalam, MSU Compound, Bangao, Tawi-Tawi. The research respondents of this study were the Arabic and Islamic studies teachers of primary and intermediate grade levels of MSU TCTO Integrated Laboratory School. They were only 5 in total. So the data gathering procedure of this study, the permission to conduct this study was obtained first from the Dean of the from the Dean of the College of Islamic and Arabic Studies. Then
Oh,
okay. Sorry. So can I continue?
yeah, we can, but the voice is echoing through the device. Maybe you have two devices over there.
Yes.
You can mute the other one.
Can you please?
If you have two devices on, please turn off the
We have
one.
three. We have three.
Okay. Only one device is on mic, so the other must be muted.
Okay. So it is clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
So can you see my presentation?
The presentation, no, it's not there.
Wait for a while. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So I can continue the data gathering procedure of this study. Is my voice loud and clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So the data gathering procedure of this study, the permission to conduct this study was obtained first from the Office of the Dean of the College of Islamic and Arabic Studies. Then was approved by the Dean of the College of Education and the Principal of Integrated Laboratory School. After the approval, the researcher personally approached and coordinated with the primary and intermediate grade Arabic and Islamic studies teachers for the research instrument to be answered. The respondents of the teachers was statistically tallied, tabulated, and analyzed by the researcher himself with the guidance of an expert. So, stop.
Okay, we can see the presentation now.
Okay, so let's proceed to the findings. Okay. So these findings are based from the objectives number 1, which the challenges encountered by the Arabic teachers of Integrated Laboratory School during the COVID-19 pandemic. So this graph based from the data gathered, and the teachers always encounter challenges on the perception statement. They find it hard to evaluate their learners' progress in learning the basic concept in Arabic and Islamic studies, as majority of them they did not answer the learning modules themselves,
But
which has the mean score. Wait. Okay, which has the mean score
itu bahasa
of
Filipina itu
4.2. This implies that the Arabic teachers find it difficult to monitor the learning of his or her pupils, as well as his or her effectiveness in teaching, as majority of the pupils let their parents or guardians do the learning modules for them. So the findings number 2, these findings are based from the objectives number 2, which the coping mechanisms of the Arabic teachers of the said challenges they encountered. So these findings, based from the data gathered, the Arabic teachers always cope up with the following perception statement. They pre-identified the topics in Arabic language and Islamic studies prior to the finalization of learning modules for each quarter. And third findings, these findings are based from the objectives number 3, which shows the test for the significant difference between the challenges encountered by the primary grade Arabic teachers and intermediate grade Arabic teachers. So, as we notice at this bar graph, their base number are both 3, are the same 3, but they only differ on the points, where in fact it is only 0.5 their difference. So statistically speaking, it is concluded as not significant. At the conclusion of this study, based on the findings of this study, the researcher concludes that the Arabic teachers of integrated laboratory school, whether assigned in primary or intermediate grade level, rarely encounter challenges on distance learning, as their coping mechanisms were relevant and effective. So that would be all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Ainuddin Torokanan from Mindanao State University for the presentation.
Okay.
If there are any question for the participant, you can just write it down to the chat, and then the speaker can read it, and maybe we can give the answer by text also, because we have a very short time. Okay, thank you once again, Mr. Ainuddin.
You're
And then
welcome.
we move into the second speaker from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. We have Mr. Akbar. You can hear me, Mr. Akbar?
Yeah. Is it clear to hear my voice?
Yeah, we can hear you well. Thank you. The time is yours.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for the moderators. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, today I will present my thesis research with the title "The Model of the Influence of Self-Compassion and Self-Disclosure to Strengthening Mental Health Disorder Through Spirituality for Orphanage Adolescent." So let me start from the introduction. So adolescent is the age of entering a critical cycle for a person to find identity in the process toward maturity. Therefore, adolescents are very vulnerable to mental health disorder when faced with the various problems, especially when adolescents still have unstable emotions. There needs to be a parental assistance during the adolescent development phase in order to avoid a mental health disorder. Sorry, my slide is not moving, right? Okay, next, there needs to be a parental assistance during the adolescent development phase in order to avoid mental health disorder. However, some teenagers do not get a parental assistance because the parents live work outside the city or are abandoned by their parents and parents of teenagers who have died. Coupled with the arrival of the COVID-19 pandemic and the numbers of orphans in Indonesia has increased, so the adolescent care is entrusted to the orphanages. Adolescents who living in orphanages feel a lack of parental affection. Those impacting orphanages, adolescents who experience life problems. Adolescent mental health problems can become a severe problems if it is not treated immediately, because they can cause deep suffering and harm those around them. However, not only a critical role of foster parent, but the adolescent also need to have an attitude to create a character that is a patient, calm, empathic, and sensitive to their problems, or in a psychological science called by self-compassion. And orphanage adolescent also need to have an attitude of a self-openness to expressing feelings and problems experience, or in a psychological science, say the self-disclosure. Furthermore, the level of spirituality of orphanage adolescent also has a role in addressing mental health issues. This is because the spirituality is related to the relationship between adolescent and Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala as a place to depend on all of problem experience. So, adolescent with a strong attitude of a self-compassion, self-disclosure, and spirituality can be excellent capital to face all of problem in life, especially problems that can interfere with the mental health. Therefore, based on the background of the research problem above, this study aims to find a model of the influence of self-compassion and self-disclosure through the spirituality as a new approach to strengthening mental health of adolescents who living in orphanages. In addition, to discover what the implications of this study are in strengthening mental health for orphanage adolescents. So, ladies and gentlemen, next for the theoretical foundation, first is the definition of self-compassion. So self-compassion is a compassion for oneself in every misfortune or problem experienced with a positive attitude and not judging excessively for the problems. And for the self-compassion variable, have a 6 dimension. There are self-kindness, common humanity, mindfulness, self-judgment, isolation, and over-identification. And next, for the self-disclosure variables, it can be defined that is telling information about the secrets or problems experienced by the closer people, such as friends, parents of or loved ones. And for the self-disclosure variables, have a 5 dimension. There are amount, valency, honesty, intent, and depth. Next, for the spirituality variable, can be said that awareness of the unity of the universe and relationship between the individual to each other in the universe. For the spirituality variable, have a 4 dimension. There are theistic spirituality, nature spirituality, human spirituality, and transcendent spirituality. And for the last is a mental health variable. According to the World Health Organization, that mental health is a condition of someone who can maximizes their potential, can solve a problem well, work productively, and contribute to their community. While mental health disorder can be defined as a condition that affects a person's mood or a mood that can affect a person's ability to interact with others. According to the Lawrence, mental health disorder common occur in adolescent, including depression, anxiety, hyperactive attention deficit, emotional and behavior disorder. So for the mental health variables, there are 6 dimensions. There are challenge, interpersonal confidence, confidence in ability, emotional control, life control, and the last is commitment. So based on the background, my research, I was made for the research model, like in the slide. From the model research, I was construct the hypothesis. There are 7 hypotheses, like in the slide. So next, for the method research, this type of research is a field research with a correlational model quantitative approach. The location of this study refers to 3 places, namely Darut Taqwa Orphanage, Malvaza Orphanage, and Latazan Orphanage in special region of Yogyakarta. So for the study subject were foster children aged around 12 to 18 years old with as many as 165 respondents using a random sampling techniques. And for the research data analysis was analyzed with a smart pill as a version 3 application with a second order embedded two-stage approach. Here mentioned that the second order embedded two-stage approach is done because each variable has a dimension and each dimension has an indicator. Therefore, the data analysis is carried out in the 2 stages. First is a dimension and variable level data analysis with an inner model and outer model test. So, ladies and gentlemen, Alex, for the result, there are 2 analyses in my research. First is a descriptive analysis and smart PLS analysis. For the first analysis is a self-compassion variable from the graph and the slide. It can be seen from the self-compassion variables from 6 dimensions. For the over-identification indicator have a highest average value. At the same time, for the self-judgment indicator has the lowest average value. And for the self-disclosure variables from the 5 dimension, for the valence indicator has a highest average value. At the same time, for the depth indicator has a lowest average value. Next, for the spirituality variable from 4 dimension, for the aesthetic spirituality have a highest average value. At the same time, for the nature spirituality have a lowest average value. And the next, for the last variable is the mental health from 6 dimension. For the challenge indicator has the highest value. At the same time, for the personal confidence indicator has the lowest value. Next, for the second analysis is a smart PLS data analysis. It is in this analysis, there are some processing data. First is to know about the validity test and the outer model test for the validity test. From all of the indicator from each dimension, there are 8 indicators are invalid due to the loading factor value because have a value less than 0.7 value. So they will be removed from the data processing so as not to change the average variant expected value in the next processing data. And the next for the second analysis is for the reliability test. So from all of the dimension in each variable, all of the dimension has met with the requirements of the composite reliability test, so it can be said to be reliable. So next, for the outer model test, there are some processing data tests. First is goodness of fit test. Like the table on the slide was found that the SMSR value of 0.0714 is less than 0.1. So it matches with the criteria. From the data, the model can be said to be fit. And for the NFI value of 0.7855, then the research model can be said to be fit and have a match our goodness fit of the model with the research data to 78.55%. Next, for the R square, from the data in the slide, it was found that the spirituality variable has an R square value of 0.5378. This is show that the self-compassion variable and self-disclosure variable affect spirituality variables by 53.78%. And meanwhile, the R square for the mental health variables of 0.5697. It showed that the self-compassion, self-disclosure, and spirituality influence the mental health variables by 56.97%. And next, for the hypothesis test was explained to the two table. First is hypothesis test value in indirect. So for the first hypothesis, namely the influence of self-compassion variable on mental health has a t-statistic value of 4.5294. And in addition, the p-value is 0.00. So the first hypothesis is declared accepted. It means that the self-compassion is proven to have a positive and insignificant effect on the mental health of orphanage adolescent. Next, for the second hypothesis, namely the influence of self-disclosure variables on mental health, has a t-statistic value of 1.8389. And in addition, the p-value is a 0.0661. So for the second hypothesis is rejected. It means that the self-disclosure is not proven to affect the mental health of orphanage adolescent. The absence of the significant effect of a self-disclosure variable on the mental health directly caused by the people who are too open or oversharing about the problem faced by others can lead to increase in depression, where depression is one of the symptoms in someone experiencing mental health disorder. Oversharing behavior is conveying too much private information to others through direct communication or in social media. Ladies and gentlemen, for the third hypothesis, namely the influence of spiritual variables on the mental health, has a t-statistic value of 4.278. In addition, the p-value is 0.0. So the third hypothesis is declared accepted. It means that the spirituality is proven to have a positive and significant effect to the mental health of orphanage adolescent. Next, for the fourth hypothesis, namely the influence of a self-compassion variable on spirituality, has a t-statistic value of 3.9731. In addition, the p-value is 0.0001. So the fourth hypothesis is declared accepted. It means that the self-compassion has proven to have a positive and significant effect on the spirituality of orphanage adolescent. Next, for the fifth hypothesis, namely the influence of self-disclosure variable on spirituality, has a t-statistic value of 5.8738. In addition, the p-value is 0.0. So for the fifth hypothesis is accepted. It means that the self-disclosure has proven to have a positive and significant effect on the spirituality of orphanage adolescent. Next is for the analysis hypothesis in moderation with the spirituality. For the sixth hypothesis, namely the influence of self-compassion variables through spirituality on the mental health, has a t-statistic value of 2.9036. In addition, the p-value is 0.0037. So for the sixth hypothesis is declared accepted. It means that the self-compassion through spirituality has proven to positive and significantly affect to the mental health of orphanage adolescent. And for the last hypothesis, namely of the influence of self-disclosure variables through spirituality on mental health, has a t-statistic value of 3.4428. In addition, the p-value is 0.0006. So for the seventh hypothesis is declared accepted. It means that the self-disclosure to spirituality has proven to positively and significantly affect on the mental health orphanage adolescent. So, ladies and gentlemen, based on the findings and discussion above, the study can be concluded that first, there is a positive and significant influence of self-compassion on the mental health of orphanage adolescents, both directly and influenced by the media of spirituality. Second is there was no significant influence between the self-disclosure variables with the mental health of orphanage adolescent directly. However, there is a positive and significant influence between the self-disclosure variable and the mental health of orphanage adolescent through spirituality as a moderator, mediator variables. For the third is there is a positive and significant influence between the spirituality variables and orphanage adolescent mental health variables directly. So therefore, this study implies that the strengthening mental health for orphanage adolescents is carried out by consistently instilling spirituality and increasing our self-compassion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all for my presentation. Thanks for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for Mr. Akbar Abdul Aziz for the presentation. It gives us a very, very deep perspective about self-compassion and self-disclosure to strengthen the mental health disorder. If you have any question, please save it for later, or maybe you can write it down in the comment so we can answer for the Q&A and session in the last session. And then the next speaker for the student session is from Philippines, Miss Aisa Sajarani from Mindanao State University. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes. I'm Aisa, sir.
We can hear you clearly, so the time is yours, Miss Aisa.
Presentation.
Wait, sir. Wait,
Yeah.
sir.
Mhm.
Wait, sir.
The sound is a little bit echoed through the room. Maybe you can turn off the sound from the other device. Okay, you can start now, anytime. Okay.
Did you see my screen, sir?
Yeah, and the slide is on. We can see it. Okay, you can unmute the mic if you are ready. Okay, the time is about 15 minutes, so please deliver it briefly and to the point.
So did you see my screen, sir?
Yeah, we can.
So I'm very much
Please turn off the other device, please. Yeah. I mean, you can just use one account in one room so we can hear the sound clearly.
It's clear?
Unmute na.
It's clear?
It is still not. The sound is echoing.
So my research entitled Traditional Divorce Practices Among the Sama Badjao in Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi. So traditions based on way of thinking, behaving, or doing something that has been used by the people in particular group, family, society, etc. for a long time, following the traditions of a certain group of culture according to Britannica Dictionary. Divorce in Arabic word which talak, which means feelings or undoing the knot, according to Imam Ragib. It is called to two people married whenever they separate or separated, and it is one of the cases that is presented and handled by the Sharia. So I have also the statement of the problem. I have three statements of the problems. First is, what are the customary practices of divorce among the Sama Badjao? And secondly, what are the methods and procedures they use in divorce? And lastly, what are the causes of customary divorce as practiced by the Sama Badjao in Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi? I have also three objectives of the study. First, to identify the customary practice of divorce among Sama Badjao. And secondly, to find out the methods and procedure they use. And lastly, to determine the causes of customary divorce practice by the Sama Badjao in Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi. So let's proceed to methodology. The research methodology, descriptive qualitative study of traditional divorce practices among Sama Badjao in Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi, utilizing the internet sources, books, and journal articles, as well as diverse individuals. Research design, qualitative study focuses on the traditional divorce practices among the Sama Badjao in Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi. Research Rukil, this study was conducted in Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi, where the majority of the inhabitants are Sama Badjao. So the respondents of this study are limited, 20 Sama Badjaos in Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi. The instrument used in this study was interview guide with the aid of handphone for audio recording purposes. Data gathering. In data gathering for this study, the researchers asked permissions by writing a letter to Barangay Chairman of Barangay Datubaginda Puti, Sitangkay, Tawi-Tawi. In the letter, they sought permission to interview the targeted respondents in Sinama language. Treatment of data. The research designs of this study is qualitative, so the data gathered were treated and presented narratively. So let's proceed to findings. So we have three statements of the problems. First is, what are the customary practices of among the Sama Badjao in Barangay Datubaginda Puti? So here are findings. The finding is, the customary divorce in Sama Badjao is performed anytime if the couple feels that they are not compatible with each other. And secondly, divorce in Sama Badjao has simplicity because it is a direct creating peace of mind and freedom. So the second statement of the problems is what are the methods and procedure they use in divorce, right? So the finding is the majority did not use any legal procedure. Instead, they only talk among the family members. Family decisions is final and executed according to them. And the last, the main causes why the Sama Bajau separated is third party is the main cause why the Sama Bajau got divorced from their spouse. So let's proceed to discussion. Traditional divorce practice among Sama Bajau in Barangay Datu Baginda Putistangkay Tawi-Tawi is performed anytime if the couple feels that they are not compatible with each other anymore. Noble Sadiq has elsewhere announced, among that which Allah has made permissible, there is nothing he hates more than divorce, and Allah hates a man who divorces and marries many women. In the Quran teaches us if there is a reason to reconcile with your partner, you need to find a reason to go back again and not directly to divorce. Sama Bajau did not use any legal procedures and was not based on the Sharia or in the Quran and Sunnah because they only use a family talk. Family talk is final decision and executed according to them. And finally, a third party is the main reasons why the Sama Bajau get divorced from their spouse. In Islam, polygamy is permitted if the husband treat his wives justly as what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran. If you fear that you might not treat the orphans justly, then marry the woman that seems good to you. 2 or 3 or 4. If you feel that you will not be able to treat them justly, then marry only one. Or marry from among those whom your right hand possesses. This will make it more likely that you will avoid injustice. Surah An-Nisa verse 3. And if you do not have the ability to do justice between the wives, even though you may wish to do so. Surah An-Nisa verse 129. Therefore, divorce on Sama Bajau is quite different to other cultures. In fact, they perform it anytime by using only a family talk and not using any legal procedures. And divorcing them has direct creating peace of mind and freedom. They also have a personal rules and simplicity and uniqueness compared to other cultures and traditions, but different from the Quranic traditions that which Allah sent us as guide in this world. That will be all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Aisha, for the presentation. It is about the traditional divorce practice among the Sama Bajau in Barangay Datu Baginda, Putih Sintangkawi, Tawi-Tawi, Philippines. It gives us another perspective of the divorce and the polygamy also. And as usual, for the participant, for you who has the question for the presentation, you can save it and ask it later in the Q&A session after the fifth speaker. And then we move into the fourth speaker from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Mr. Lutfi Aji Agung Hidayat. You can hear me?
Yes, clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Are you going well?
No.
Yeah, very honest. Are you?
Always.
Okay, the time is yours, Mr. Lutfi Aji.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hanan, for the moderating. Okay, for the last member or the last speaker in this very glorious international conference, I would like to present you, well, it's not really a research, but just an insight about library researching in Google and book, and maybe hearing from some experts about education in approach and model. Miss Aisha, can you close your share screen, please, so I can do my part? Miss Aisha, hello? Can you hear me? Thank you so much. Now allow me to share screen my PowerPoint. Okay, can you see it now? Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I would like to present you a little bit of my, not insight, just a bit of knowledge about approach and model of leadership in Islamic education. Okay, but first, I would like to start my presentation with quotation from very famous people or a very famous philosopher that summarize the definition or the main concept of education, include Islamic education. It is said, Plato said, the measure of a man is what he does with power. This is very clear. This is a very deep knowledge measurement about how leader act or how leader present himself. So the leader, according to Plato, it what he does with power. So how better did you use your power and knowledge is the true measurement of your leadership. Okay, next. There is a pretty basic of Islamic concept in Islamic education. In such, you can see leadership in Islamic education should be lead the leader or the people you lead, like teacher or maybe administrator of the school, to righteous path. As such, let's see, the headquarter or the principal maybe act as a servant or a khadim, or act based on justice or adl, and act based on taqwa or piety. And of course, you need hikmah or wisdom. And maybe you must be an uswatul hasanah or the role model for all the people who follow you. And the last of the least, you cannot be strict or just follow your own action, but you need the liberation concept, or will make you sounds like not dictatorial, but considering the other opinions. As such, that thus the main concept of Islamic education. And we go to the approach. So there is a general approach of leadership. I quoting it from one of the world leader, Sanza. It states, leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humility, courage, and discipline. When one has all the five virtues together, each appropriates to its function, then one can be a leader. So according to Sanza, well, maybe you will say, well, do nothing is not talking about educational leadership. Well, as the famous man said, whatever you do with anything is how you do with everything. So let's say this could be a great approach toward leadership in Islamic education. Leader must have intelligence, a quality of trustworthiness, humility, courage, and discipline. Thus, he can become a great leader in educational context. And we delve into Islamic context. There is Islamic education. Leadership approach and leadership role should be based from expectation, well, based on ideological belief, and of course, the worldview of each expert. So as an Islamic leader, he used a base belief like maybe Muhammadiyah or NU, and certain worldview to be a good leader, from their own expectation. For example, in Islamic education, differing in belief and divine knowledge will have very significant implication for how leadership is conceptualized and divine role to related practice. First, the educational leader is a mu'allam, a teacher. True, very obvious. And thus, when he become a teacher or she become a teacher, he must guide the other. Right? We talked before, to taqwa or the righteous path. And secondly, the role of educational leader is become guidance, and also the role as the prophet. Well, you can say not really a prophet, but people who have high virtue value or huswatun hasanah, who in Islamic theology are messenger of God. So very, very trustworthiness. There is a various approach toward Islamic education as such characteristic approach, which is something that cannot be changed and come from human indefinitely. Like, well, leader must be just, truthful, steadfast, humble, and caring. Pretty obvious, but very hard to get right because it must come from human itself. Next is behavior approach, series of choices and can be changed. Well, you cannot choose your character, but you can choose your behavior. As such, the leader must be communicative, honorable, open, observative, and democratic. Next is situational approach. Now, this one is might be kind of different from the first and the second. This one, sometimes you cannot choose to be situational, but sometimes you can choose to be situational. Like you have flexible and open-minded attitude. In Islamic education, especially, the situational leadership approach refers to ability of a leader to adapt his leadership style toward the situation and condition being faced. There a question you should ask when we talk about situational approach, like what should leader do? Like understanding the task and situation, introducing to the strength and weakness of team members, well, flexibility and adaptability, caring and empathy for other team member or the teacher, and of course, choose the right leadership style to proper situation, hence situational approach. And the last one, of course, transformative approach. This one is kind of contrary to the first, second, and the third, because in order to make a change, someone must be radical and extreme. Well, not all, but in all situations, most of situations, especially in Indonesia, you need to be brave and radical to make transformative change. As such, what leaders should ask? What should you have? Then like apply to build yourself and the others, to be inspirational, to be a coach or a trainer, sensitive to social circumstances, so he can see the paradigm in the society. And the last one, well, you should be communicative. Without communication or be communicative, you cannot change anything. The change you make will be meaningless and something else. And we go to the model. How we make something new from this approach and all. Well, the book and the research I read, I would like to give you 4 models. But first, let's say the most important one, prophetic leadership. Well, you can search this on Google. There are a lot of view from this title, prophetic leadership, and various versions from this title. And the second one is caliphate leadership, integral version of prophetic leadership. And the third is deliberation leadership, which according to us is we'll call shurah leadership, or many people take a decision according to vote. And the last one, of course, noble leadership. According to what? Of course, you, because everyone basically have noble attitude and noble heart. So it must become from you, not from prophet, not from caliphate, not from many people, from you, because everyone is a leader. Okay, now we delve deep into each of the model. First, prophetic leadership. Yeah, hence the name. So you exemplary from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You must become uswatul hasanah, as we talked about before. Care and to be justice, coaching and empowerment, consultation and participation, and have compassion and understanding. But in the prophetic leadership, you must become the only one, because there is no 2 or 3 prophet, then only 1 prophet. So you become the one who become the only one who have the knowledge and insight. Kind of tyrannical rule, but in sense of prophetic leadership. And next is caliphate leadership. So in this one, the differ from the prophet, your first leader is prophet, so you become the caliphate. So you have the authority and responsibility from the previous leader. And of course, to choose you, you must have selection and leadership criteria, which is have I mentioned before. And the third, be justice and community service. Well, you need to be just and have community service to be elective. And of course, Islamic law and its implementation. You must understand this one. And the last one is consultation and participation. Almost the same from the third model, deliberation leadership. Very much the same thing, but this will come the third time. You got the prophet, caliphate and deliberation, which is actually have the same thing about the caliphate, but the caliphate only have one leader or maybe two leader. Deliberation leadership, you have one representative like president or headmaster that's surrounding by many people, have deliberation opportunity or deliberation quality to be well. And you see it from the point. And the last one is noble leadership, which is came from everyone. You must to be honor people. You have to follow ethic. You have a justical sense and have this act to be service to the people. You have, of course, community vision and development. And of course, you must also involve and have consultation quotation toward the other people and the other idea. I think that's all that I can say. I'm sorry, it's maybe too obvious to some people because this is not real research. This is just a simple mind from me. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. For Mr. Lutfi Agung Hidayat, which have presented a presentation with the title of Leadership Approach and Models in Islamic Education. So we move into the last speaker for this session, to Mr. Abdul Muiz Muhammad Soleh from Brunei Darussalam. And now is still studying in Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Okay. The speaker is ready. So to Mr. Abdul Muiz Muhammad Saleh, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum. Can you see my slide? Assalamualaikum. Can you see my slides?
Yeah, we
Is
can.
my voice clear?
Yeah, maybe a bit louder.
A bit louder?
Yes.
Hello?
Now it's good.
That's good? Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Muiz. I'm from Brunei. I'm studying in Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Today my presentation is about mapping the Bruneian and Aceh's responses towards Sharia law formalization and implementation. All right. So it's basically comparing or comparative studies of responses of Sharia law between the Bruneian and Aceh, the people of Aceh in Indonesia. All right. Brunei Darussalam and Aceh, Indonesia are Southeast Asia only region that applies Islamic Sharia law. Both regions have applied Islamic Sharia law for about 10 years now, and yet during their implementation, they have received reactions from both internal and external regarding the application. They have received good reactions. Some people agree, but some people disagree. The people disagree are saying that the law implemented by both Brunei and Aceh they're saying that it is against the human rights. As you all know, Brunei is practicing monarchy system politics, while Indonesia Aceh is under Indonesia, which is practicing democracy. Based on the specific and previous Aceh since 2002, a number of Islamic laws have been enacted, including in the field of Islamic criminal law. On 27 September 2014, Dewan Perwakilan Rakyat Aceh passed a new and more complete Kanun Jenayat, namely Kanun Jenayat Aceh number 6 of 2014 concerning Jenayat law, which they call it QJA. While in Brunei, they also have the same thing. In Brunei, we call it KHJB. Only about 3 months after the implementation of Aceh, Brunei also implemented a Sharia law, which is Kanun Hukuman Janayat Brunei. It's abbreviated as KHJB. So what is it like to have a Sharia law in Brunei Darussalam? What are the rules and procedures? Well, in October 2013, the government of Brunei announced the nationalization of Islamic Sharia law, regardless of religion. So regardless if you're Christian, if you're Muslims, Buddha, you have to follow the rules. The Islamic Sharia law applies to anyone without exception, which was implemented on May 1st, 2014. All right. In my country, Brunei, we decided to implement the Sharia law by phases. Okay. What are the phases here? As you can see from the slides here, the first phase, 3 phases, right? So the first phase is the lightest rules. For example, those who do not respect the month of Ramadan, such as opening a place to eat during Ramadan. Second, for men who do not carry out Friday prayers. And third, spreading other religions besides Islam. Fourth, pregnant out of wedlock for women who have never been married before or are in the state with no husband status. So basically, in the first stage is the lightest rule. So the violations or sanctions are only monetary fines or imprisonment. While on the phase 2, so we move on to the phase 2 of the rules. The rules and sanctions at this, according to the level, are automatically heavier than the first one. As I mentioned just now, the first stage was mostly about monetary, just paying the fines or imprisonment. What the second stage is all about is have been defined, some of which are: first, stealing; second, drinking khamar or liquor; third, adultery while still having a husband or wife. The sanctions set for violations in this second stage are hand amputation, cutting hands, amputations; for theft, whipping, or 30 years imprisonment plus payments of fines. So what is the third phase? So as you can see from the third phase here is some of the rules in this stage includes blasphemy against Islam. Secondly, insult the Quran and the Prophet. Thirdly, adultery with other people while still having husband or wife and being a Muslim. Fourth, homosexual or lesbians. Fifth, claiming to be God or the Prophet. These sanctions imposed for this third stage are the most severe or the heaviest. So it includes death penalty by stoning or beheading. So, but at this time, Brunei is still on the phase 1. We have not moved to phase 2 yet. So far, what I've been experiencing in Brunei, no people have been stoned yet, or no hands are being chopped yet. Right. So what about in Aceh? So Aceh, it's more, I should say, more lenient. Okay. It criminalizes the consumption and production of liquor, gambling, being alone with someone of the opposite sex who is not a spouse or relative, committing intimacy outside marriage, adultery, sexual abuse, falsely accusing someone of adultery, sodomy between males, and lesbian acts. So what are their penalty and sanctions? It's mostly about caning, imprisonments, and fines. As you can see from what I've mentioned in Brunei just now, there is no stoning yet in Aceh or hands amputation. It's mostly about caning, or in Indonesia they call it what do you call it? Cambuk, or imprisonment. So during my research, I've seen a lot of responses from both regions, which is Brunei and Aceh. So when I did my research, I did interview some of the respondents here in Brunei. One of them is a student from Brunei, University of Brunei Darussalam. he was saying that the implementation of Sharia law is bringing him closer to Allah and preventing him from doing things prohibited in Islam. So he was actually happy with the Sharia law implemented in Brunei. He was saying that he also gather with the youth of the mosque in the village and does welfare activities. He also feels that the decision taken by the Brunei government to implement Sharia law is the right decision. So we can see here, this respondent from Brunei is actually agreeing to the implementation of Sharia law in Brunei. So another respondent from Brunei I interviewed is a Bruneian teacher. She was saying that the implementation of Sharia law is actually good. She now rarely see cases of students having problems, such as fighting, skipping schools, and students fighting against teachers. So it's actually good. It's improving. Those are the good things. So we can see that those are the pros of the implementation. What about the cons? So we can see here, an interview was made by BBC Indonesia with two Bruneians living abroad. They were having different thoughts compared to just now. They were saying that they were not happy with the Sharia law. They thought that it was against human rights. They feel that the Brunei government is putting harsh rules for the Bruneians. One of them was also saying that he was being judged for criticizing the Brunei government and he did not dare to come back home. So he was actually posting something on social media and he was being chased by the Brunei government. So as you all know, Brunei is practicing system politics of monarchy. So I'll be talking about it more later. And also, a local Bruneian writer published an article titled, "Should we resort to stoning or flogging in the Borneo Bulletin?" a local Brunei newspaper. He said, among other things, that he was mentioning in the newspaper, he was saying that no chapter of the Quran mentioned of the punishment for adulterers. He also mentioned that the hadith was created by humans and the punishments for the adulterers is consistent between the Quran and the hadith. So now we are moving towards the respondents from Aceh. Just now I was actually talking about respondents from Brunei. Now we have respondents from Aceh. So I actually interviewed as well a student from OMA. He is studying bachelor degree in international relations. He was saying he's from Aceh. He was saying that since the implementation of Sharia law in Aceh, criminal cases in his village are decreasing. Previously, often young people are seen drunk on weeknights, but now they are never seen again. He has personally seen people who have been flogged or for offenses such as adultery, and he was actually ashamed and afraid. So it makes him afraid and not to do such crime. And he also mentioned that almost every day Sharia police officers roam the streets in his city in a hunt for immoral activities. So what other respondents do I get from Aceh as well? Apart from the supporting groups, there are groups that are strongly reject the implementation of the Sharia law. Several communities groups in Aceh have different views when implementing Kanuns in Aceh. As you can see, the groups opposed to implement the Kanun consist of various academics and universities in Aceh, as well as NGO working in the field of human rights and woman issues. This group is not against Islamic Sharia law being implemented. Instead, they strongly criticize the content of the Kanun, which were considered to not comprehensive. Also criticize the system of implementing the Kanun, which was considered to be very discriminatory. All right, these are the groups of people who actually somehow not agree of the implementation of Sharia law in Aceh. So what I can see from my research here, it shows that there are groups who accept the Sharia law willingly, group who are completely rejected it, and several groups such as it is contradictory to human rights, and there is a group who are forced to accept but still criticize. For example, what I can see from this research, as you all know, Brunei practices an absolute monarchy system of government, where the highest power is held by a single ruler, which is our sultan. And the people do not have the freedom to express their opinion, in contrast to Indonesia, which practice a democratic system, and the people have the right to voice out their opinions. This also has an important influence on the response on the people in the two regions regarding the Sharia law implementation. That is all for my presentation today. Mas Anan.
Thank you for the nice presenter.
Thank you so much for Mr. Abdul Muiz Muhammad Saleh for the last presentation for today. Now it is 11 past 1. So it is still according to the schedule. And we still have about 15 minutes to do the question and answer question. So we have one person who would like to ask for the first presenter. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oh, it is not question. Mr. Amin, are you still there? Mr. Amin will want to ask for the first presenter.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Mr. Amin, you can mention your question and for whose presenter it is for.
Okay. First of all, I'm Amin Kadra Sarapuddin, student from the College of Islamic and Arabic Studies. I address this question to the first lecturer. I am not sure if it is within the scope of this topic, but I will ask anyway. Since you talk about the halal and haram food, I remember there was a content in Facebook posted by Muslim content creator recently about a particular market in Indonesia where Muslims sell cats, bats, and other meats that are not considered halal as they believe it is medicine. Since Indonesia is a Muslim country, my question is, what did the government do to minimize or lessen or even stop this kind of commerce or business? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Alice.
Okay, thank you very much, Amin Kadra. Amin Kadra Sarabuddin. Thank you very much. I don't get your point for. Could you please to make it simple? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Could you please to make a simple question?
Yeah. What I mean is that I saw a content in Facebook posted by a Muslim content creator where there are places in Indonesia where people sell cat meats, bats, and other meats that are not considered halal. So my question is, what did the government do to minimize or even stop this kind of crimes? Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you are very welcome. Okay, thank you very much. Actually, thank you very much, Amin Kadra. I think that actually this is the time for Q&A for among the student, but no problem because you asked me connect with the halal issues. Connect with our government. Actually, our government always provide, easier administration, easier administration to any person who has effort, who has effort to economic activity, and I'm one of the activists pendamping itu apa? Advocates. I am the activist of advocator how to uh, deal to get the halal certification, halal certification in among the people in Indonesia, particularly around in Yogyakarta. And this is one of effort, one of our government effort to uh, uh, apa ya, untuk membangkitkan itu apa ya, to rise concern society concern connected with the halal issues in Indonesia, because this programs maybe ongoing about through 2 years, and our government always give any people who has effort, economic effort or economic business or economic effort, and his penghasilannya apa? His outcome under 500 million, they can get a certificate, halal certificate by self-declare. Self-declare means is this company, this small company can declare that what he do is always in the right of halal right, halal way. And few days ago, I also come to the one of the people who has economic effort, and he look for the halal certificate, and I one of the advocator. And this is one way our government effort give easy instrument, give easy service how any people who get the halal. But that's my kegelisahan itu apa?
Concern.
my
Concern.
my concern that actually is not our government, but there are apa ya, phenomena among the million and among the youngest millennial, that they don't care with the halal issues. And of course, for our government still in how to give the justification, top down is not button up, no. But for me as a activist Muhammadiyah, always give apa ya, menekankan itu apa, to give intense to any people, any Muslim, when they want to get when they have to educate their son, their student, their pupils, to aware with the halal issues. Because my brother and sisters, as far as I know, that among the young millennial Muslim in Indonesia, some of them, they don't care with this halal issues. And then for me, particularly for parents or maybe teacher or ulama, have to preach, have to educate best from the top down to any people around the society. This is my point of view. Our government just give a officially certificate halal, but how to educate our government, as far as I know, maybe this program will be done next after all thing apa ya, completely. Jadi this is my answer, I mean Kadra.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
To kill and form
Waalaikumsalam.
Sebentar mungkin. Thank you very much all participant in this forum, and as a representative of the of my leader, he always say his gratitude to you all because thank you very much for joining this event, and inshallah next time we will deal with our joint seminar or maybe joint research or maybe joint conference. I don't exactly, but this is I think this is my our first time joining international conference between two already three countries. Brunei Darussalam, I mentioned the first because the representatives from Brunei in front of us, and the second one Filipina, and the third one is Indonesia. Of course, it is a very good event, and inshallah we will take again the event like this. Thank you very much, and see you.
You're welcome, Doc.
Ya,
Terima kasih banyak.
sama-sama.
I just remind again
Yeah.
to fulfill
Terima kasih.
attendance form.
Thank you very much.
Terima kasih atas ilmunya.
Lu tanamin loh. Oh.
Ya,
no.
please check and fill the attendance form.
Di rumah. Di rumah.
Di rumah.
Very much. Di rumah, pahamin di rumah.
Ada makanan?
Kita ini
Ada.
Tak ada?
Ya, sudah siap lah.
Iya. Itu pun waktu zuhur.
Saya malam ini belajar ekonomi Betawi. Selamat banyak-banyak orang Indonesia, orang Brunei.
Bisa bahasa Indonesia, bisa bahasa Melayu.
I'm Prince.
Halo?
Sehat-sehat
Terima
orang
kasih
Filipina.
banyak-banyak.
That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Ini
Pak Suryana. Pak Suryana.
So may I leave? Waktu zuhur.
Okay, no problem. Please. But if you
Thank you
want
very
to
much.
talk something,
Luar biasa.
if you want to talk something and everything, please, no problem. We will close after maybe. But I mean, Ibnu Hajar, is it your lecture?
Yes.
What is subject? Oh, lost. Estefanio from Philippines also. Okay. Almira. Estefanio. Estefanio.
Sir.
Okay. From
Thank you
Philippines.
so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah. What is your subjects? I mean, your concerns, your major.
Your concern. Your concern.
Nothing, sir, but I think it's a fruitful webinar, and I learned so much from our different presenters. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. You're very welcome. Okay. 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 Sarif Mahardan. I don't know. Al-Kasrif. Yeah. This name is very Filipinos. Okay. Thank you very much, my brother and sister. And let me please from this room. Assalamualaikum.
Wassalam.